Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video of 2023, and what a very different video it is. So to put it into context, normally what I do for a video is I sit down, research, write a script. I then research the photos I'm going to be using for that video, make sure it marries with the script that I've got. And then I bring the two together. So I put the videos into iMovie and then I read the script, edit, and then send it out to you guys. However, this week I have had a week off from my normal work, which is office work. So I've had a week off from that, and what better way to spend it, and I have loved every second of this week, I can tell you, is spending it with my second family and my lovely friends at MC. So I have been here for the past week, and all I've been doing is volunteering and cleaning engines, which I love. So you can see me here just cleaning up with one of the wheels. Now, even though this is time-lapsed, this took an hour to do. So these engines, this one engine in particular, has been out nearly every single day in November and December. She has had a very, very busy Santa season, and we are now in downtime. So downtime is our winter maintenance time. This year it's going to last a little bit longer than usual. This is due to the track itself is also getting some serious maintenance, and we're actually relaying a section. So the railway is currently cut in half, which means we can't run. So therefore this is a perfect time to do any form of winter maintenance on these girls. Now, this engine in particular is a 060 Hunslet austerity engine. Her name is Cumbria, and she was built in 1953 for the Ministry of Defence. Now, even though she wasn't built in the war, she is still considered austerity because she was built to the Ministry of Defence's design. So therefore, she was designed for economy, not for anything else. She was purely designed to function. So she was built. She was a local girl. She was actually drawn in Leeds. She was drawn and built in Leeds. And as I say, yeah, she's a local girl. Now, she was taken to Longmoor Army Stales Depot in southern England with the number 194 in khaki green, which was an unattractive colour for her, but hey-ho. And so she was put as part of the Strategic War Reserve. Basically, it means store it. So the idea of the War Reserve is that if anything happens, anything comes awry, anything, if the engine is needed, it is there. Now, come a couple of years later, they decided that the War Reserve was not going to be as required, so they closed the store's depot. And the engine was then transferred to Bicester, which it went back into storage. So this poor engine didn't actually see its first firing until 1958, which is nearly 5 years after the engine was first built. Luckily, the boiler ticket was extended, so she got the full 10 years worth of traffic service, which was brilliant, and then she was completely overhauled and retubed, and then went back into storage again. So a few months after the completion of storage, the overhaul, it was then transferred to the weapons testing depot at Shoeburyness in Essex. Now, the idea of that was to replace another locomotive who had been condemned and sent up to the big scrapyard in Skye. It had quite a leisurely life, so it ended up being only fired once every 12 weeks, and its only duty was to hold the steam crane about when the gun barrels needed changing. That was it. It held no coaches, no freight other than this steam crane, so it was very, very minimally used. So it had quite a nice leisurely career with the army. After that time, it was decided to decommission the engine from the army. Its army days were done. So it was purchased from the Ministry of Defence in July 1973 by the Lakeside Railway Society. And the idea was they were going to use it on their railway, and what a bargain it was. I mean, this engine had only seen a few years of service compared to its other brothers and sisters who had seen nearly decades of service. So it was nearly new. Now, it arrived in Heatherwaite in September of 1973, and it still had that khaki livery and the number 94. Now, they said this wasn't going to do. We want to preserve this engine properly. Let's make her look beautiful. So they kept her in storage while they did a bit of work on her, made her look stunning. And in 1974, she was actually then unveiled to the public. They decided to call her Cumbria, after the new local authority created within that area. So once Cumbria was named, they then passed ownership to the Furness Railway Trust. Now, not to be confused with the Furness Railway, who have been running for centuries, this was a trust and it became their first ever steam locomotive. So Cumbria then became a little bit of a poster girl. Now, the railway wasn't actually that long, it was about 3.5 miles, which when you look at MZ, it's round about maybe a bit longer. So MZ is around about 4 miles base to base, so literally end to end about 4 miles. And it was perfect for the run. It was happy to pull up to 200 tonnes, and it was happy to pull gradients up to 1 in 70, so it is ideal for these sort of areas. And she covered over 100,000 miles just on those 3 miles of track. To put it into context, the Lakeside and Heatherwaite Railway opened in 1973 with Cumbria. She has pulled over 40% of the trains that is on that line. So she was a pretty big deal down there. She was their girl. However, as railways go, railways share. So in 2009, she was moved to the Ribble Steam Railway when it was returned to steam in 2015 after another overhaul. And then we got it. So we got it in, I believe, 2018. And she's kind of been here ever since. We absolutely love her here. She's a lovely, lovely girl. And we're very, very lucky to have her. Now, you can see me here trying to clean one of the brake shoes. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm cleaning what we call the outer motion. So these are the coupling rods, the wheels, the brakes. And I'm using several pieces of equipment there with me. So I've got brushes, I've got oil rags, and I've also got a can. You can just see it in the front there. Now that can is called Geyser, and it's made by the company called Swarthega. Now Swarthega is you normally see it as a hand sort of cleaner. It's got lots of grit in it. Now those wheels themselves, they are painted wheels. Now you can't use grit or any form of metal polish on paint. It's just going to take the paint off. So what I do is this stuff Geyser is actually just a natural degreaser, and I'm basically just covering the grease, all of the mud, the muck, the grease, the ash, the coal, everything that's stuck to those wheels. I'm covering it in that degreaser so that it then just naturally slides off when I get my hand underneath and get all that muck out. I'm also generally checking the engine over and making sure there's nothing I need to report to our steam manager, to our locomotive manager, making sure that that everything all looks good. And enjoyed learning a bit more about Cumbria today. If you are interested in steam engines like I do, have a look around, see whether you've got a local railway, a heritage railway, because we're always looking for volunteers. So if you can, maybe a couple of hours a week, you'll find that doing something like this is probably the most therapeutic thing you'll ever do. I mean, I was quite happy just sat there just listening to the engines go by, and it's definitely something to look into. Now, next week I will be back at home, so the context will continue. However, if you do find these videos very interesting, safety permitting, obviously, I cannot film in certain situations. There's certain parts of the shed I'm not allowed to show you. I certainly cannot film while I am doing my other jobs, simply because I'm dealing with public, dealing with engines that are running. I can't do that. But if you do like these sort of films in the future, let me know, and I will be more than happy to put something up for you. And in the end, thank you very much, and I'll see you all very, very soon.